What's up, college football fans? Bustin' with the Boys is here to let you know that every college football Saturday, FanDuel's dropping profit boosts that can turn wins into bigger wins.
Whoa, that's so great. We should rename Saturday Booster Day.
Ooh, how about Saturday Boost?
What about boosting Saturday in the USA?
Hear me out. The great FanDuel Saturday Boostacular.
Wait. FanDuel's Boosty Boost Saturday.
I don't love that one.
Yeah, I knew it as soon as I said it.
But I love that you tried.
Thank you. So Booster Day?
Yeah, buddy. Booster Day. FanDuel lets you play your game any way you want with a college football profit boost every Saturday.
21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, fanatics of all ages. It is September 29th, 2025, and your Philadelphia Phillies went 96-66 during the 2025 regular season. They are the number 2 seed in the National League playoffs, and they have a few days off to watch some playoff baseball, some wild card round action like the rest of us. They have a bye. They are through to the division series where they will await the winner of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds, who snuck in on the final day, backdoored their way into the playoffs with the Mets finishing their collapse, falling apart. The Phillies are the only team from the National League East to make the playoffs this year, as 3 NL Central teams take spots. The Padres and Cubs play on the other side of the bracket. The Milwaukee Brewers, the top seed in all of the playoffs, will await the winner of that. Over on the AL side, we got a couple of divisional matchups in the wild card round. The Tigers, who barely hung on and ended up losing the division anyway, will face the Guardians, who won that division, snatched it from them almost by accident, really. And then we have Yankees, Red Sox, because of course we do. It's only a best of 3, though. 4 or 5 series there, all 3 games. Potentially, will be played in Yankee Stadium. The Blue Jays await the winner of that series, while the Tigers and Guardians, the winner of that, will face the Seattle Mariners, who won their first AL West since 2001. So the playoff field is set. Those are your teams. Those are your matchups. Those are things to look forward to. As far as things go in Phillies land, we have a few days off. We can just watch and do a little advanced scouting, size up some of these teams, learn as much as we can from best of 3 series, and await the winner of Cincinnati and Los Angeles. We'll take a quick look back at the season that was. Not too much. Really, it's just more of an interesting way to think about what this team has done, this Phillies team has done over the last couple of years. We'll get into that. And then Matt and I will talk about our wildcard round predictions, such as they are, because best of 3 series can go sideways, diagonal, any which way. You know, our predictions are worth as much as the digital paper they're printed on here, but we're going to do them anyway because it's fun and I like feeling right. So let's get into it here and bring in my co-host. He is the Athletics Phillies beat reporter who is finishing up his 4th regular season tolerating me. He is Matt Gelb. Matt, hello. How was your weekend?
Tolerating. It's a bit harsh. My weekend was good. The season is over, and now we can really get into the good stuff.
Yeah, and this is the good stuff, right? Like this is a team that it beat my expectations. I thought they were going to take a 2-win step back, finish at 93. They ended up sort of blowing past. Once you get past 90 wins, any additional win is like exponential. So I'll say they blew past it when 96 and 66. Brewers at 97 and 65. They kind of defied everything. I know. But we're not going to talk about them just yet. I'm getting a little bit ahead of things here. The Phillies, they got the second seed. They will play with home field advantage in every possible series except an NLCS matchup with the Brewers. And we'll have to await the winner of this Reds-Dodgers series, which, Matt, I don't think many people were expecting the Dodgers to have to go with the riffraff in the wild card round here, as the Brewers and Phillies both, rather comfortably, set themselves ahead of the Dodgers for a bye here. And they'll take on the Reds, who finally, after I think a couple years of both of us being like, man, maybe the Reds will finally get in this year. Maybe this is the year they're finally interesting. They did, maybe not in the, most dramatically improved way possible. They're 83 and 79, but that was good enough to get in because they had the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Mets, who finished with the same record and could not beat the Miami Marlins on the final day of the season. And their season is over. I think before we start talking about predictions, because that is the
we were
going
to do that last. I told you we're doing that last.
Yes,
and
yes.
Predictions will be terrible.
I've caught myself. That is the good stuff, but we're going to do that later. We want to take a second here to think about what the Phillies are doing in more of a historical context. Mostly within the franchise's historical context here. If you think to just 8 short years ago, this team went 66 and 96, the absolute inverse of this season's record. That was in 2017. Things were not good. That was Pete Buchanan's last year on the job. It ushered in the Gabe Kapler era, which then ushered in the Joe Girardi era, including the pandemic 2020 season, which I will be skipping in a factoid I'm about to give in a minute. But that gave way to the Rob Thompson era, which has been nothing but an absolute success. If you are one of those people who is World Series or bust, I am sorry for your lack of happiness over the last few years. I am not one of those people. I love winning, but I can appreciate everything else that this team has done and see that, oh yeah, in the last 7 full seasons, again, skipping 2020, so since 2017, the Phillies have increased their win total every year. They went from those 66 wins to 80, to 81, skipping 2020, 82, 87, 90, 95, 96. Consecutive NL East titles. A 4th straight trip to the playoffs. They've won 95 plus in consecutive years for the 3rd time in this franchise's long and overall rather tortured history. In the context of just their own franchise, what they've done is amazing in the better part of a decade. But there's another layer to it, Matt. There's another layer to what's happening here, because it's not just all about the Phillies' ascent and their climb to now perennial 90-win team, if we're talking about the last 3 years. Because what's happened around them in the National League East is equally as remarkable as their own rise. Let's think for a second about where the Braves were just a few years ago. The Phillies met the Braves, as you may all remember, in 2022 and 2023 in the postseason. They had just come off a World Series title, so they do have a World Series under their belts in 2021. They ended up winning 6 straight division titles from 2018 to 2023. But the last 2 years have been a little bit less than that. It's been a swift fall from their pedestal. They have fallen off even faster than the Phillies. You can talk about the Phillies going backward in their exits from the playoffs as much as you like, and that's fine. What's happened to the Braves in particular over the last 3 seasons has been precipitous. A couple of nightmare years, speckled with injuries, significant injuries. Guys who have come back from injury not always looking like their former selves. The Braves finished 76 and 86, and there's a lot to be considered about what's going to happen with that team for next year. And the New York Mets, who, as we mentioned, lost to the Miami Marlins on the final day of the season. All they had to do was win a game against the Miami Marlins. They could not do it. Francisco Lindor grounds into a double play to end their season. The Mets signed Juan Soto in the offseason. He was, in the end, what they needed him to be. He had an excellent year after getting off to a slow start. Nearly went 40-40, which would have been a stunner in its own right. He's a really good player, but there are echoes of the Phillies' first Bryce Harper year there, where the Phillies missed the playoffs. They ended up missing the playoffs the first 3 years Harper was in the fold. The Mets did not have the pitching to withstand their usage of said pitchers. They could not finish more than 5 innings regularly. The offense was a little bit, pardon the pun, hit or miss for a lot of the year. And in the end, they just couldn't keep up. And so now, a year after appearing in the NLCS, they are out of the playoffs for the second time in 3 years. Matt, that's a lot of words to say. What the Phillies have done in the last few years and their improvement is both A, remarkable in its own right, and B, should be appreciated for what it is now in this moment while it is happening.
Yeah, I think so. I think you said it well. It's just, to me, like, you use the Mets and Braves as the prime examples of, like, it can go wayward in so many different ways. And we know that both of those teams are talented. We're talented, and entered the season with a lot of talent. And let's not forget, I mean, I think it's important to go back and remember that going into the season, the Braves were, solidly favorites on the market to win the National League East. The Phillies had an implied odds of, like, I don't know, about 30-ish% to win the division. The Mets were, like, right around there. The Phillies were slightly ahead of the Mets, I think, in most of on most of the books, like, going into the season. But this was not like a slam dunk kind of thing, and the Phillies made it that way after August 1st with the way that they played, and with the way the Mets faded and how the Braves dealt with all these injuries and stuff. But I mean, you can hand, you're like, well, the Braves had all these injuries and the Mets didn't get enough pitching and things didn't go right for them. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, over 6 months or 7 months, like, so many different things can go wrong for you. And the fact that the Phillies got to this point again, doing it the way they did it, probably with their most consistent regular season team during this run, right? I mean, like, I don't think it's even close.
No, for sure.
I mean, there were, you could argue, maybe you think that last year's team was better, or the 2023 Phillies were a better team or are a better team, maybe. But I think this was the most consistent team. And I do think that should mean something going into an October. And of course, it doesn't guarantee them anything because a short series, like, we have no idea. But I do think because of that consistent nature that this team has had, both on the pitching side, on the offensive side, and even on the defensive side, since they've made some changes, that consistency should give them pretty good armor going into this October. It's a feeling of this roster isn't as top heavy, maybe, as it's been in the past. And no doubt, like, if they're going to win the World Series, their best players are going to have to be tremendous in October. And the top of the lineup, Turner and Schwarber and Harper, are immensely important to this whole thing. And Chris Sanchez and Johan Duran, at the back, the two biggest pitchers, like, yes, they're very important. But it's a feeling of that, like, the Phillies could win a game in which Turner, Schwarber, and Harper don't do anything.
Yes.
Like, I think that's not outlandish to say that this October. I mean, it just feels like there are more useful pieces across the roster, guys who you can close your eyes and imagine stepping up in an October moment and delivering the Phillies a win, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher. I think it is just a more solidly constructed and built team that is not without its flaws, but the way they got here, I think, is notable. And you just have to look around the league to see examples of how this thing is hard. Like, this is so hard. And this is 4 years in a row now, Paul. And yes, they have not gotten it done. There is a lot of disappointment about that they have not finished this thing off. Maybe they do it this time. Maybe they don't. But they have built something that I think is really impressive, because it was not built from within. A lot of it was built through free agency and through trades, which is a hard way to build a team in this era of baseball. And they created a standard here that was lacking for so long. And not only have they created that standard, I mean, they've really maintained it. And there's an expectation. And they entertained you, in the spring and the summer and in early into the fall here. That's all you can ask for. And I think they did even more than entertain you. I mean, they were exciting. I mean, they were exciting to watch for a lot of different reasons, and there was times where they weren't, but mostly they were pretty exciting to watch. And they enter this tournament with as good of a shot as anybody, and that's a pretty amazing thing to say, given that Zach Wheeler won't be a part of it.
Yeah. There are a lot of really remarkable things that you can say, remarkable to like say out loud and believe it, that being chief among them. Zach Wheeler will not pitch in the playoffs, and I still feel really good about this team's
it's because
chances.
Of Christopher Sanchez, is it not?
It's a huge part of it, a massive part of it that cannot be understated. Matt, the point to consistency is a really good one, because yes, they didn't play till the very end with like meaningful games, kind of like last year, but that window was a lot shorter. And the talk about consistency here made me go back and look at the schedule and try and be like, yeah, wait a minute. They didn't. When's the last time they had like a significant losing streak?
I mean, really, they only had 1 month during the season in which they were under 500. That was July. They were 11-12. But every other month was, it was all just steady, right? I mean, obviously, like, they really took off after August 1st and, really truly played their best baseball in the final 2 months of the season, which, is a good thing. I don't know that it means that much going into October, but it was consistent.
Well, yeah. And I mean, to that point, I looked it up, and the last time the Phillies lost more than 3 games in a row was the end of the Pirates series when they got swept back on June 8th.
Is that right?
That is correct. And in the interim, they had 4 3-game losing streaks from June 8th through the end of the year. That's it. That is it. One of those was the sweep at the Mets. One of those was losing the final 2 at Cincinnati and at Washington. You notice the theme here.
So nothing more than 3 games is what you're saying.
Nothing more than 3 games
early June.
Since June 8th. The sweep at Houston, and then late this month when they lost the first game against Miami, that was an L3. That was it. And you can't say that about last year's team. I don't need to pull up that schedule to know that I would see something more erratic in there. Even that July that you just mentioned, they never lost more than 2 in a row. It was back and forth, but they never dropped more than 2 in a row that month. It is comforting in its way to guard against the anxiety that's coming, because it's coming. I can feel as confident as I am right now. Like, yeah, sure. But playoff baseball is exciting that way. It's got that energy to it. You just, in a best of 5, I mean, forget the best of 3 for a second. In a best of 5, you just don't know. But it feels good to know that, yes, the team is, for the most part, very healthy. Yes, they are missing a key component in Zach Wheeler, and that counts for a little bit extra. But they are very healthy. They are playing well. You don't really have too many reservations about guys on the offensive side, which is weird to say because I feel like I spent most of the summer having reservations about a lot of the guys on the offensive side. There are a couple. The bullpen is, it's not perfect. And you may be, gripping your chair arms a little bit tighter when some of these guys come into games, and they will. They will be pitching a lot. The share of innings among starting pitchers league-wide. I don't know if this is going to hold up with the Phillies. League-wide is under 50%.
I think, yes, and this is a conversation for later in the week, but I do think that, to me, one of the most interesting dynamics to begin this postseason for the Phillies will be the balance they decide to strike between riding their starters or going to the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different equation, I think, for the Phillies than it's been in the past. And it's definitely a different equation for the Phillies than it is for probably any other team. Maybe the Dodgers are the same way in this playoff field. It's a story that I would like and will be writing about this week.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Life is full of exciting moments. Whether you're buying a new home, opening an account as you welcome a new family member, or planning for retirement, you need a bank that's there when it matters. At Atlantic Union Bank, you'll find helpful people and digital tools to make banking for all of life's moments a little easier. Because you deserve a financial partner who cares as much as you do. Call, visit us online, or drop by a branch to learn more. Atlantic Union Bank. Any way you bank.
Comcast is committed to bringing access to the internet to all Americans, including rural communities across the country, like Sussex County, Delaware.
We were being left behind. Everybody around us seemed to have internet, but we did not. High-speed internet is one of those good things that we needed to help us move our farming, our small businesses, our recreation forward.
Learn more about how we're bringing our next generation network to more people across the country at ComcastCorporation.com/investment in America.
I think the Phillies should be riding their starters a little bit deeper. They should. This is what this team was built on. How many times have we said it throughout the course of the year that this is what has carried them? They have other contributors now, and the team here at the end of September is deeper in better ways than the team that was fully carried by the rotation in the middle of the summer. It is a more improved team. They have better options in relief. You know, David Robertson, I feel like was better than what I was expecting him to be. He, can still induce a little bit of anxiety on his own, but
I think the issue with Robertson is that almost by default, he's risen up in the, he is at this point their second right-hander in the bullpen behind Duran. And that's, because of Ryan Kerkering has not pitched well of late. I do think Kerkering's final two outings were pretty good, about as good as it's been in a while. And, I think he started landing the slider a little better. If that gives him a little bit of confidence going into October, then great. But they're going to enter October with Robertson as the primary right-handed setup man.
There is, of course, one other notable absence here with Jose Alvarado being ineligible. He's injured anyway. He might have been back in time had things been more normal circumstances. I'm not really sure.
Sure, he also might not have gotten hurt if he had, a 3-month layoff in the middle there.
Yeah, right. So he will not be available as he has been the last couple of years. But the Phillies are still well set up on the left-hand side, even without Alvarado. Matt Strahm has looked very good lately. He's recovered from some bouts of hard contact to really come in reliably and look good. Tanner Banks has been one of the stories of the year, even in his weird way, pitching so much better in high leverage than low leverage in 2025. High Lev Tanban is the nickname he's kind of picked up among our Discord group, because I'm pulling it up right now. His splits are kind of amazing. Banks pitched in 30 spots where he had high leverage plate appearances, 57 total. He allowed a 475 OPS in those 57 high leverage plate appearances, 17 strikeouts against 3 walks. In low leverage, he had 143 plate appearances, so he appeared more frequently in spots that didn't really matter. 712 OPS. It was almost 250 points higher in low leverage, despite another rocking strikeout to walk ratio of 39-4. He just allowed more hits for some reason. Couldn't quite shut the door. The BABIP differences are huge, which contributed. But 475. in high leverage. He's somebody who has, in that sample shown that he could be counted on to come into some of these playoff spots and hold somebody down. Hey, think about the possible matchups that are coming up, right? Obviously, with the Dodgers, you think, oh, the guy who's going to win MVP might be coming up. Freddie Freeman's going to be there. You probably, if you face the Reds, want Elly De La Cruz batting right-handed, so he could come in and play there. TJ Friedl is a nice player. You would want to combat him with a lefty if you could. Gavin Lux, another person to combat. It's a little less intimidating on the Red side, but there's still some consideration there. Tanner Banks rising to the occasion and being the number 2 lefty here is another hugely pleasant surprise and somebody I feel really confident in.
What was, like, if you want to think back, like, what, I'm catching you off guard here, but I mean, like, what was the biggest surprise, or what exceeded your expectations the most with this club?
I think it was just how good Jesus Luzardo ended up being. I was very worried that his back wasn't quite there. Like you can take a player at their word when they say, no, I'm fine. No, I feel good. I'm ready to go. And we had opposite ends of the spectrum with that, right? We had Luzardo on the good side, put together an incredible year whose season numbers are really just marred by those 2 starts in the middle of the year, really throws everything off. And then we have Jordan Romano on the other side, who came in off injury, insisted he was fine, said he was fine, as he should say if he was feeling that way, and had a miserable year. Did not look like his old self at all. And so it can always go either way. But Luzardo was so good. And you don't even get into the fact that the Phillies traded, yes, a fringe top 100 prospect in Starlin Caba for. Starlin Caba had like a 500 OPS in the minor leagues for Miami this year. And he's still young and has time. But right now, that is looking like an all-timer 1 year in. And the fact that he was able to make it through a full season, pitch 183 innings, be right near the top of the league in strikeouts. I don't know how much happier I can be with that, and how surprised I am that he finished the year. He finished it as well as he did, and he's probably going to get a couple down ballot Cy Young Award votes.
Probably. I mean, I think what's another lefty is what sticks out to me, and that's like Sanchez, right? I mean, like, we knew he was going to be an important piece of this team, but I mean, he not only became like the most important piece in the rotation after Zach Wheeler's injury, but I mean, he exceeded all of our expectations, even if we had high expectations going into the season.
He put up an 8-win season.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 2.5 ERA in 202 innings, and soared past his career highs. Really demonstrated that he could be the guy, and I think is fully on his way to acehood if he's not there already. I mean, he's going to finish second in the Cy Young balloting. You certainly could make a coherent case for him to win it. I don't think he's going to win it. I mean, Paul Skeens will probably win it. I don't think Skeens should be unanimous. I'm going to guess that he will be unanimous. I don't see anyone. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but your argument would be that Skeens did not pitch in a meaningful game for months for the Pirates. Now, that said, he was very, 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 very good.
Yeah, he was really good.
But I mean, Sanchez, what he did is just, it's really amazing what he was able to do, because we entered the season with high expectations for him. Given what he did last year, how he really grew into his own. He started game 2 of a playoff series. You could just see him gaining confidence. He looked like a different guy, and you're like, okay, he's going to take an even bigger step forward in 2025. And even if you thought that, you weren't thinking this. You weren't thinking a 2.5 ERA in 202 innings with 212 strikeouts and only 12 home runs allowed. Just an outstanding season, and he really is. He is the future of this franchise. Given the contract that he signed, he doesn't turn 29 until December. He's not a guy with a ton of mileage necessarily on the arm. So you're really looking at him as being, really the future cornerstone of this franchise, I think, going forward.
Yes. He won't have the time to catch, some of the guys on leaderboards. If he continues this pace, it's hard to repeat what he did this year, but if he stays consistently among the, top 15, let's say, pitchers in the league, because that's what he was this year. At worst, conservatively.
He was top 4 pitcher in the league.
Right. If you expand the bounds a little bit and he stays up there, maybe the next couple of years he doesn't. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say. I think I'm just bracing myself against the thought that maybe this is a mirage on a team full of guys who look like they're putting up sustainable performances. But that's not fair to me. It's not fair to Chris. And I'm even one of the people who was high on him. I came into the season one of the high guys on Chris Sanchez, and I'm still blown away by what he did. I think there's a defense mechanism in there that's like, oh no. But I'm trying to shed that in general. And so I look at Chris as a present and future piece of this team and feel good, especially as Zach Wheeler, unfortunately has to go through what he has to go through in his recovery and the uncertainty it brings to really the remainder of his career, much less just next season. It's great. It's a great story.
Do you agree though? Do you agree with the idea that, or how differently do you feel about this team than you did a year ago at this time? Because it's about the same record, a lot of the same players, same situation. They're in the bye week. Why is it, or what is it that makes you feel, if at all, different about how they go into October? And don't make it just about how they played going down the stretch, because as we know, that doesn't necessarily mean much.
Right. Oh, I guess that's the big question, right? That I feel like I was doing more, whether it was just to myself or to, folks out there, whoever's listening to this, or whether it was on a social platform, whatever it was, I felt like I was trying to defend the honor of a 95 win team a little bit too much. It felt like I needed to do a little bit too much of, hey, everybody, what are we worried about here? This team won 95 games. This team is good. They have as good a shot as anybody in the playoffs. And I don't think it's as hard to sell everybody on this team than it was last year. Maybe the play toward the end of the year is what did a lot of that. I don't know. Because again, that team had Zach Wheeler and this team does not. But I feel as though this team going into the playoffs is the best version of itself. This is the best I feel about any of the 4 playoff runs to this point. 22 obviously being what it was, that's house money. They made a run to the World Series and nobody was expecting that. This team is better than 23. This team is better than 24. And I say that again, knowing that Zach is not part of it. There is something, I can't even put my finger on it. Maybe it's the consistency. Maybe it's the fact that somebody else has emerged on the offensive side to kind of like take the onus away from Bryce to be everything. Maybe it's the fact that they had 10 guys hit 10 home runs.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, I think to me it all comes back to like, and we can debate the depth of the lineup and how deep it truly is and whether these guys are able to carry some of the stuff into October. But I do think it's a more coherent, well-rounded unit. And I do think they can win games in different ways come October. I do think that there's just more quality up and down. And I think more guys, and this is a teaser for a story later this week at The Athletic, but more guys have either made up their minds or just decided like who they want to be at the plate. And I think last year you had some guys trying to be someone who they weren't, or caught between approaches, or not quite sure what they wanted to be, or pressured to be something that they weren't.
Yes. And
I think that has gone a long way in making this team what it is. And again, we don't know anything. None of this might matter going into October for all we know. But I think you have a group of guys who are just more cohesive, and it's not as top heavy as it was before, because last year in the NLDS, you're looking at the lineup, and I'm going to bring this up just so we can laugh, but you're looking at the lineup and you're like, man, if it's not Harper or Schwarber, who is it going to be? And this was the lineup for game 1 of the NLDS last year. Okay. Schwarber DH, Turner shortstop, Harper first base, Castellanos and right, batting cleanup, Bohm, Stott, Real Muto, batting 7th, Marsh in left, Rojas in center. And this was the lineup for game 3. They went to New York and they were facing a lefty. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Bohm, Real Muto, Hayes, Sosa, Rojas at the bottom. And so, like, I think they're going into this October. Harrison Bader's probably going to bat 6th. He cooled off a little bit at the end, and like he probably was playing a little too much.
Yeah,
like,
that's he did what he needed to do.
He did. And if Bader's batting 6th, you've got either Kepler or Real Muto batting 7th, depending on if you want to go right, left. You've got those guys batting 7th and 8th, and you've got Stott batting 9th.
Yeah.
And I do think if they face a lefty in the playoffs, that Sosa will play second base. I do.
Okay.
It's hard to ignore his numbers against lefties. That said, like where Bryson Stott is right now, and he's one of those guys I'm talking about who's like kind of just has more clarity about who he is. I mean, go look at his numbers since August 1st, and we did it last podcast. I mean, like he's among the best hitting second basemen in the sport in the last 2 months, and it's not like it's an accident. I mean, it is off of tangible adjustments that he has made, and you can point to those moments and be like, this is when he started doing this, and now he is producing that, and it's not a bad look right now. I mean, like if he's going, that's so huge. Like if he's batting 9th and he's doing what he's doing right now, I just think there's just a different sort of confidence in this lineup. And I know all this stuff is subjective, and I'm not giving you objective reasons, but.
Well, no, because if we boiled it down to just objectivity, it would sound a lot like what I was saying, like best of 3 and best of 5. You just don't know. You just kind of have to cross your fingers and hope the talent wins out. But that's boring. Like we need to have a little bit of this subjective stuff in there. And that's why I feel good, because I have that subjective element that I didn't have last year. You know, I knew that the Phillies were a better team than the Mets last year. They were not playing to their potential last year, and the Mets were on fire. They felt good, and they blew right past the Phillies. Okay, fine, done and dusted. This year, though, I just feel better, and it is that subjective element you're talking about. I can't narrow it down much more beyond they have a guy who's going to finish probably second in MVP, who led, the league in homers and RBIs. They have a guy who won a batting title who has come back from the injured list at just the right time. They have a 2-time MVP who in a down year had a 130 OPS plus and is now kind of like second or third banana summit. Like he's kind of stepped back and just kind of let Schwarber highlight this team. Turner's going to lead off and bat ahead of him.
Right, but you feel like October, of course.
That's where he comes out, man.
Time, right?
Yeah, this is where he shows up. To the Bryson Stott point, I feel like Stott comes into these playoffs, this postseason, with that clarity that you mentioned. In 2022, he was starting at shortstop, and things were weird. It was his first taste of the playoffs, and he wasn't feeling good. 23 doesn't have a great showing. Gets a little bit. He has the grand slam. That was a big moment. That was huge. But then the rest of the playoffs just don't really fall into place for him. And then he didn't have a good Mets series either. This feels like his time to really lock in. He had a good regular season. He's playing well on the back end of it. He's looking more like a guy who, I can identify, who I can look at and say, yes, I do have a better feeling now of what you are. We took some time last year and early this year wondering, what is Bryson Stott? Is he going to recapture his 2023 regular season self? He was caught between approaches last year. Well, something clicked, whether it really was just the quick time away for the birth of his child. He comes back and he has there
were adjustments.
Adjustments, right? Like, but all of that, like coming in.
But it was more of a mental adjustment too. And again, a teasing for a story this week. So
okay, sorry. No, that's good. Having him bat 9th, I feel good about having him 9th. It doesn't feel like a zero down there. I mean, Johan Rojas, to his credit, again, good defender. You did not feel like he was going to do anything in the playoffs. I feel like Bryson Stott is not a throwaway at bat at the bottom of the lineup. Far from it. He's playing really well. And if you're saying that about your number 9 guy, you're probably feeling pretty good about the guys ahead of him. And I am.
Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other toppings, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW, let us surprise you.
At Capella University, we believe accessible education can make a difference. That's why we offer scholarship opportunities to all eligible students. Un futuro diferente está más cerca de lo que crees con Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Since May 1st, Brandon Marsh's OPS is 20th in the National League.
Among all hitters.
Yes.
As another good player. Another good player who has made moves to kind of solidify his presence next year. Maybe they still think about trading him. I don't know. That's a different discussion. But he's really kind of formed and can we say formed an identity? Would that be right? Yeah, I think that would be right.
That's the idea that I'm getting at. And again, I'm giving away, you know.
I'm sorry. I don't want to keep.
No, I'm not giving it away. But but it's like, but I'm glad that you've also touched, you know, that you recognize it, because I think this is like the biggest thing going with them right now is that they do. If they hit this October, they're going to win the World Series.
Yes.
I don't know how hot of a take that is, but they have enough pitching, I think, that it's not perfect. But if they hit, and I'm not saying 6 runs a game, but if they hit enough, they are going to win the World Series.
Yes. Yes, look, Phillies podcast, I get it. This team is really good. And it's not a stretch to say that this is a World Series winning capable team. Not at all. Not in the least bit. They got to actually go out and do the thing, sure. But they sure as hell can. This is a team of players that should absolutely be standing there at the end. 100%. And I feel good about saying that. I feel good about watching them. I don't think they're going to go, Moses Malone it and bulldoze everybody. That's not how it usually works. But man, the rotation as it is, the top options in the bullpen as they are, the way the lineup has been hitting when everybody's been healthy, there are some small questions, but they are so much smaller than in previous years that I cannot help but feel optimistic. I cannot help but feel good about this team's chances.
You're right. I mean, that maybe you've distilled it down to its purest, is that certainly there are holes, but they're not as prevalent or as glaring as they've been in October's past, I think.
That's probably what it is, yeah.
And also, do you know what else it is, too?
What?
They're a better defensive team.
Yes.
Than they've been in any iteration in this run. This is a solid defensive team when they have the proper lineup out there, the proper outfield. as it should be.
Yes.
And because of the improvement at shortstop, which is real, the general steadiness at third base, it's not great. It's below average, I think, still, but it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
The elite defense at second base, this fine defense at first base, combine that now with an outfield that gets to a lot of balls, that matters. That absolutely matters in October. And that is one reason I also think why you have a better feeling about it.
Yes, absolutely 100% correct. That is a great point. I've thought about that in relation to, Sanchez and Duran in particular being two of the more ground ball heavy guys when the ball is put in play. Having a vastly improved defensive shortstop goes a long way. It's not just Trey. It is not only him, but man, it is an extra layer of confidence that I definitely did not have in the last couple of teams, because they just did not have that kind of, if you'll pardon this, defensive presence. They didn't. And they do
All
now.
Right.
Yeah,
now. Let's go to the American League first.
Yes.
Okay, let's start with Yankees hosting the Red Sox. When's the last time they played a playoff series?
Would it be 2004? Is that the last time? I actually don't know.
They've had to have played one since then.
Probably. I'm forgetting something.
Right? While I'm looking. No, they lost. Oh, they had a one game playoff in 2021.
I already forgot that.
I don't remember that at all. Evaldi versus Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole got knocked out early. It was at Fenway. All right, well, that said, give me Yankees in 2.
I think the Red Sox are plucky, but the Yankees are a better team.
The Yankees are coming out of the American League, by the way.
I don't know about that. We'll get there in a second, but yeah, I think the Yankees are taking this series as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in 2. I'll say Yankees in 2. How about for Tigers Guardians with the AL Central up at the top half of the bracket?
This one I think is actually this is the toughest one that I was looking at these this morning. This is the toughest one for me to pick. I'm going to say Guardians in 3. What a ridiculous. They should play these games at 10 a.m. By the way, they're going to play them at 1 o'clock, but they should play these games at 10 a.m.
1 o'clock playoff games. It feels wrong. I know they want to do windows.
No. It feels right for Cleveland versus Detroit.
They're just, oh my God. I don't know. It's like, who do you like the Tarek Skubal start having more of an impact, or Jose Ramirez's plate appearances throughout the series having more of an impact? Because I feel like it just comes down to the best player left on either team. And I guess I'll go with the Tigers, because I think winning the Skubal game gets them that much closer, in a short sprint series. I'll take Tigers in 3. I don't feel great about it. So then for you, Matt,
I should write these down. Did you write these down?
Yeah. I'm keeping track of them. That sets up for you Yankees Blue Jays on the bottom half. All right, so then we'll go back over to the NL side. We'll do Cubs Padres first. This should be a fun series, I think. On paper, at least, it looks really fun. Cubs are at a bit of a disadvantage with the Cade Horton injury. What do you think?
I think this is the biggest mismatch of the first round.
Yeah, it might be.
Padres in 2.
Yeah, I think the Padres win for sure. I'll say Padres in 3. I think the Cubs steal 1, but I think the Padres are a better team.
I think this is truly the biggest mismatch of the first round. I think the Cubs are absolute paper tigers.
The Cubs pitching leaves a lot to be desired here.
Big issues, and
the Padres bullpen is insane.
Yeah, but yes, and also I just picked the Padres in 2, and Nick Pivetta is starting Game 1 for the San Diego Padres. So egg on my face, I'm sure, when the Cubs sweep the Padres, but
Nicky had a good season.
He had a good year.
Nicky had a good season. All right, and then the big one to determine the Phillies' opponent: Reds Dodgers at Dodger Stadium.
This is I am certain of that this is going to happen, and this is insane. It is stupid.
No, it's not.
Reds in 2.
There it is. Yep.
The Reds are going to sweep the Dodgers, and I'm basing it solely on the fact that you've got Hunter Green in Game 1, who is a really, really good pitcher, and he's going up against Blake Snell, who's a really, really good pitcher. I think the Reds find a way somehow, some way. shockingly to steal game 1, and all of the pressure in the world is on the Dodgers in game 2, and I think the Reds sweep them. Like, the Reds starting pitching is a huge thing, and I know everyone's been talking about the Dodgers starting pitching, which has been fantastic. This defies baseball logic, but these 3-game series tend to just be absolutely insane, and you can all laugh at me when we tape it again later this week after the Dodgers have just absolutely destroyed and manhandled the Reds for 2 games and made me look stupid.
Maybe.
I'm fine with that because, like, I just think that this is the ultimate we have nothing to lose situation for the Cincinnati Reds, and that is such a dangerous dynamic. Not dangerous, but I mean it you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It can really launch a team when they're playing without pressure, when they're playing without expectations. And it's, if this happens this way, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm sure like there will be changes to the postseason format if the Reds go to LA and sweep the Dodgers, but
yeah, right.
I think it's gonna happen, and every matchup on paper suggests that the Dodgers are, they're obviously better than the Reds.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they're not. They're obviously better than the Reds. They might be the best team in baseball. I don't know. But having Hunter Green out there for game 1 in LA, Paul, give me the Reds in 2.
And I will take the Reds in 3. No, because
you're taking the Reds too?
Yes. I'm going to sit right alongside you. Here's the thing. The Dodgers starting pitching, yep, it's been good. Can't argue that. Can't look around it. Can't really dodge it. They have weapons. The bullpen has not been good. The bullpen has been very bad, in fact.
Yeah, well, they're obviously going to have different solutions for that.
Yeah, okay. All right. The starters on this team also typically don't go very deep. I'm just thinking a little bit of a waterfall effect, right? Maybe a lot of this hinges on the Hunter Green game, like you're saying, coming in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a waterfall effect here. Is if Snell gets throws a lot of pitches early, gets knocked around a little bit, and they have to dip into it. But no one is good. No one is better at punting a game like the Dodgers are. So I mean, like, if they get into a situation in game 1 where they're like, down a few runs and they're like, we're just gonna punt to tomorrow, they will.
Sure. And they have guys who can mop up at that. I mean, I'm thinking like Jack Dreyer comes in and pitches 4 scoreless or something like that. Anyway, if the Reds come in and take this game 1, which I think they're fully capable of, Hunter Green's really good. Don't sleep on Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott following up. They are also very good.
They have a good rotation.
Yeah.
And there's some, Lodolo's a little banged up, and he pitched in game 162, didn't he, in relief? Is Abbott would be on a short rest in game 2. This is my only problem. My concern with picking the Reds is that they could win game 1, and the pitching situation for 2 and 3 is
because
a little
they had to push
unsettled. Yeah, exactly.
They had to push it to the end. So okay, that's something to watch. And
but as the Dodgers are. So if you are a Phillies fan, obviously you're rooting for a 3-game series, no matter who wins it. Okay,
that's a win either way. Yes,
the Dodgers have set it up as such that they will have Snell and then Yamamoto, and they are slotting Ohtani for game 3 of the wild card series. They obviously don't want to use Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher in the wild card series. If they win it in 2, Ohtani will be starting game 1 of the NLDS at Citizens Bank Park. So regardless of, what matchup you think is better for the Phillies, you want this series to go 3 games because it means that the Dodgers will have to use Ohtani as a starter in game 3. And it likely means that Tyler Glasnow would be starting game 1 of the NLDS if the Dodgers advance in 3. That's my guess.
Okay. This can be either really boom or bust with the guys we're talking about here. Also, if they do need to fall back, I think Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez pitched in one of the last 2 games of the year too.
But don't have a lot of confidence in that guy.
I like him. Anyway, he's not what I'm talking about. There are 2 guys who I'm looking to.
Let's see if we have the same guys
on the Red staff, just pitchers in particular in this case, who I think could be very interesting. Chase Burns.
Yes.
And Connor Phillips.
Connor Phillips, yes. Phillips is sneaky. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're guys who could come in and really make names for themselves. It could go badly. They're both rookies. It could blow up in their faces, but these are big time arms that could really do something. I'm looking out for those too in this series.
Yeah, I mean they don't hit. they don't hit. Especially away from home and especially against lefties. And all of that makes it a really bad matchup for the Cincinnati Reds. Nothing on papers, tells you that like this, if you're trying to be as rational and logical of a person, the Dodgers win this series. They win it, 90 out of 100 times, and that's that. But and I tend to think you're going to laugh at me. I actually think the better matchup for the Phillies is probably the Dodgers.
It might be. No, it might be. It really might be.
Because again, you have that. It's that element of like playing with nothing to lose. It is a powerful thing. It is such a powerful thing. And if you take down the mighty Dodgers, if you're the Reds and you take down the Dodgers, now all of a sudden you're like, we can do anything. We can do anything. The Phillies, we can do anything.
Think about what the Diamondbacks did 2 years ago.
Same kind of dynamic.
Think about the Mets,
with the Mets.
squeaking by. Okay, that there is.
You have to suspend all rational thought in October, and I think the Phillies have played the Dodgers well in regular seasons the last few years. There are certain matchups I think that are good for the Phillies. I don't know. I mean, I think the Dodgers. You could argue the Dodgers are a better, or if not, similar to even matchup than the Reds are for the Phillies.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny. We're talking about this now, and we could just as easily be coming to you at the end of this week being like, all right, here's when we expect Max Stroman to face Shohei Ohtani, talking about all that. But yeah, I don't know. On vibes alone, I will cruise the vibe wave and say that it feels like this is an upset, bro.
83 wins.
It just does. It shouldn't be. Nothing suggests that this should be an upset, but it's hard to ignore. All right, so there we go. So Matt, you've got the Yankees over the Red Sox in 2, Cleveland over Detroit in 3, San Diego over the Cubs in 2, and the Reds over the Dodgers in 2. My only difference in team comes with the Tigers beating the Guards in 3. Everything else is similar. I have the Padres taking 3 games to beat the Cubs and the Reds taking 3 games to beat the Dodgers. And that would be your wild card round. Those are our predictions for how we think that first round is going to go. Setting up some more interesting matchups on both sides of the bracket, really. Another AL East matchup looms no matter what on one side of the AL, and then the Mariners in the 2 seed. Phillies, obviously, await either the Dodgers or Reds, and then the Brewers may have another divisional rivalry there if the Cubs can.
I'd say, how do we get to a point where we're left with 3 NL Central teams and the Phillies?
Yeah. It's so weird that the Phillies are the only NL East team after all of this, and then there are 3 NL Central teams. I'm looking at the Fangraphs playoff
This
odds.
is the first year, right? This is the first year the Phillies have made the playoffs in this run without another East team.
Yes. And from before a single game was played, I'm just looking at the Fangraphs playoff odds. So March 26th, the Braves were at 93%, the Phillies at 72%, the Mets at 62%. Every single NL Central team, and I know this isn't really how it works because one of those teams has to make the playoffs. Every single NL Central team had odds below 50%. And they're the division that brings 3 teams to the dance. It's funny, man. It's so funny to look back at this and be like, oh yeah, that's what things looked like back in March. And now we are in September with a completely different outlook on everything. I guess I should say on March 26th, the Dodgers and Cubs had already played 2 games, and the Cubs had lost 2, so that dropped them below 50. Whatever. I'm sticking with it.
I had a weird dream last night that you just made me remember.
Oh, no.
No, I had a dream, and it is very vivid now that I'm remembering. I had a dream that the Phillies were playing the A's in Japan next year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Why did I have that dream? And why am I just remembering it now? You just talked about the Japan series.
I don't know.
These are the things I think about.
Well, I'll raise you one more as we bring this thing to a close here, just with a little anecdote that is barely relevant to any of this because we've covered the important stuff. So I have a 4-year-old daughter who is not quite into baseball yet. She knows who Shohei is, and she knows that I like the Phillies and that I like baseball in general. But that's about it right now. Again, she's 4. She really likes a show called Spidey and His Amazing Friends. It's a little animated Spider-Man serial.
My kids also love this show.
It's pretty cute. It's fine. And there are cartoonized versions of a couple of the main, Spider-Man universe people. Spider-Man, Ghost Spider, they call her, which is Gwen Stacy, and Spin, they nickname Miles Morales. For those of you who are actually trying to draw lines to the comics here. And they have a couple of the villains in there, Rhino's in there, Doc Ock is in there, Green Goblin is in there. So my daughter is very ingrained in this. She really just follows all of it, and I know that she understands it. So I'm a Phillies fan. My wife is a Yankees fan. We're hoping our daughter does not grow up to be a Mets fan here, as we live in northern New Jersey. And so we're trying to insulate against that. Yes, we're doing parental brainwashing, and we're tying in this children's cartoon. We have told her that the Phillies are Spidey, that the Yankees are Ghost Spider, and that the Mets are Doc Ock, the Braves are Rhino, another villain, and the Red Sox are Green Goblin. If you are out there and you are a parent, or you just are familiar with children's programming of any kind, I hope this hits you in a place where you just feel it deeply, because the way my daughter just started to get it when I put it in those terms is just, it made me feel like so accomplished. On the drive home from somewhere yesterday, she actually asked me unprompted, so what's the Rhino team, when we had already given her the Mets for Doc Ock, the Red Sox. I'm just like, yes, you are picking up the thread I am putting down. Thank you. I love you even more than I possibly could. I hope you all have your little tricks out there to prevent people from becoming Mets fans. That's mine. All right. I think that's it. I think that's it for this episode here. We will be back again later this week. Obviously, Matt's cooking up. Yeah, Matt and Charlotte got some stuff cooking up for you.
Yeah, there'll be some good stuff on The Athletic this week. We have a couple different features planned for the bye week, and I think it'll be enjoyable while you can read them while you watch some wild card ball.
Excellent. Yeah, it's always nice to watch a little stake-free playoff baseball. I always enjoy this moment to kind of relax a little bit before the tension really sets in. I hope you all do enjoy it too. We'll look out for the Phillies' next opponent. We will not be back with you until then. Next time we all talk, we'll know it'll be the Phillies against either Cincinnati Reds or the Los Angeles Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park. Red October is back, baby. Even if the weather isn't cooperating, the spirit is there.
What do you mean the weather's not cooperating?
Yeah. Hope to see all those towels waving in a few days, and we'll all talk to you later this week when the matchup is determined. Thanks for hanging with us. This has been Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. For Matt, I am Paul. We'll see you in a few days.
Bustin' with the Boys is here to let you know that every college football Saturday, FanDuel is dropping profit boosts that can turn wins into bigger wins.
Sounds like we should rename Saturday Booster Day.
Nice.
21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other topics, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at Fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
At Capella University, we believe accessible education can make a difference in people's lives. That's why we offer scholarship opportunities to all eligible students. Whether you're considering a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, our teams will walk you through the process and help you get the savings you are eligible for. Furthering your education is an investment in yourself. Entonces, ¿qué estás esperando? Un futuro diferente está más cerca de lo que crees con Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger, Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next-day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.